Welcome back, everyone, to the smartest year ever, our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalist. My name is Gordy, hello, and this week is all about food. One surprising, strange food fact per day. Today we're talking about the hot dog. Like and subscribe if you haven't so you can keep up every single day. I do this every single day, and they're not always about hot dogs. In fact, this is the only one. If you were a sausage in 19th century America, there was a real branding problem. Nobody trusted you. Sausages arrived in the U.S. with German immigrants in the 1800s, especially in cities like New York, Chicago, and St. Louis, and these weren't new inventions. Frankfurters trace back to Frankfurt, Germany, and wieners to Vienna, or Wieners. But in a new land full of food anxiety and urban grime, mystery phallus-shaped meat got side-eyed fast. Vendors hawking these sausages on the street sometimes called them dachshund sausages, partially because they looked like the long, skinny wiener dogs, and partly because Americans found the word Frankfurter suspiciously foreign. Then came the question, how do you serve something greasy and hot to a pedestrian without requiring a plate or a napkin? The answer was the bun, of course. The most repeated story credits a St. Louis food vendor in the 1880s who handed out gloves so customers could hold hot sausages. When people failed to return the gloves, he supposedly asked his brother-in-law, a baker, to make a long roll instead. The story may be apocryphal, but the trend is real. Once sausages were paired with little holder buns, they became street food gold, especially in baseball stadiums and at Coney Island. Buns existed before him, and not in the commercialization, the idea you could hold your sausage in it. People were eating bread and sausages before, but just the idea that it's a vehicle for street food. So, where does the term hot dog come from? The most popular theory traces the phrase to college slang in the 1890s, particularly at Yale and Princeton. As I mentioned at the time, sausages were already nicknamed dachshund sausages, and dog was common slang for low-grade or suspect meat dating back to at least the mid-1800s. Students didn't invent the idea from scratch. They were riffing on a running joke, a hot, sketchy meat tube named after a dog. I don't know, these are Yale and Princeton. The leap to hot dog is more or less inevitable. The most famous origin myth stars sports cartoonist Tad Dorgan, which is the most stereotypical name for an old-timey sports cartoonist. I'm Tad Dorgan, who allegedly attended a Giants game at the Polo Grounds in the early 1900s. Vendors were yelling, "Get your red hot dachshund sausages!" And Dorgan drew a cartoon with the dogs inside rolls, captioned "hot dogs." Supposedly, he didn't know how to spell dachshund. There we go. But this cartoon became a hit, and the term stuck. And the only problem, though, is that the cartoon has never been found. Many linguists now think the phrase hot dog was already in use, and Dorgan just helped it spread. Still, though, the name fit the moment. In the late 19th and early 20th century, meat production was unregulated and infamously sketchy. Upton Sinclair's novel, The Jungle, was published in 1906, and it painted a stomach-turning picture of meatpacking plants in Chicago at the time. Sinclair intended it as a socialist critique of labor exploitation, but the public fixated on the nauseating food safety issues instead. Here's a quote for you, because I'm all about the primary sources. "There would be meat that had tumbled out on the floor in the dirt and sawdust where the workers had tramped and spit uncounted billions of consumption germs. There would be meat stored in great piles in rooms, and the water from leaky roofs would drip over it, and thousands of rats would race about on it." And this book freaked people out so much that it led to the passage of the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906. So it's a critical part of why Americans in the early 20th century were already suspicious of meat like hot dogs. Dog meat really didn't seem so implausible at this point. From there, the hot dog went full Americana. Vendors like Harry Stevens brought them to baseball stadiums, and Coney Island's beach crowds made them a summer staple. When Nathan Handworker opened Nathan's Famous in 1916, reportedly with a loan from two singing waiters, he undercut prices and sold them by the thousands. And soon, Nathan's and hot dogs were inseparable. The National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, my go-to source for everything, claims Americans eat around 20 billion hot dogs per year. Saw some stat that's saying that's like 70 per person per year. That sounds like total BS to me. But yes, the council is real. And their official stance is that ketchup is fine unless you're in Chicago. Chicago, they don't like that. They don't like that apparently. So there you have it. The name hot dog started as a joke about questionable meat, gained steam through college slang and cartoon myths, and stuck around because it perfectly captured America's uneasy love affair with processed food in a bun. Thank you to all my sources, which can be found in the YouTube description. Please give me a rate, like, follow, subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Share this with someone who likes this sort of thing. Go check out the 1-minute version after this at Smartest Year Ever everywhere on social media platforms for that 1-minute version. And in the meantime, stay curious and stay clever on our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalists. Also, let me know what you put on your hot dog. Some people are very strict about this. I want to hear where you go. I'm ketchup and mustard. That's where I go. You let me know. See you tomorrow.